Welcome to the talent show, and I'm not going to give you any talent whatsoever today. I'm going to show you a skill taught to me by my mother, and it's a very basic skill, most appropriate for the Thanksgiving holiday and any other time of the year that you want to have a piece of pie. So Grandma me for many, and Mom for me, and many others had a very basic pie crust recipe that, unless you don't have any time whatsoever and just simply need to get something that's frozen or something that's already pre-made, it's a simple recipe and probably is superior to what you get at the store. So it's basic math. If you have a cup of flour, you then have a half a cup of Crisco, and then you have a quarter cup of cold water. And the process is very simple. I have this all laid out like this is a baking show, since it is at this particular moment. And so there's my cup of flour, and here is my Crisco. And the first step is to just simply blend the two of these together so that they're kind of crumbly. And you have a pastry blender, and you just continue to push these together. And the goal is to not get the water in until the very end, because the more you play with the dough, the harder the crust will be. And Grandmommy was always very insistent that the crust be as flaky as possible. So in her approach in teaching me, and my experimentation over time, is that if you can get it to be crumbly, that is, work all the fat into the flour, you will have a flakier pie crust. There are a couple other secrets that she taught along the way, and one of them is to make sure that you have cold water that you add to this crumbly mix. And perhaps you can see that it's very crumbly there. And so I have an ice cube sitting in my quarter cup of water, which I'll remove. And I usually come in a little short on water, because if it's too wet, you really can't extract the water from the flour base. And once it's done, it's done. You really can't add more flour to it, because then you just end up with a mess. So what you do is just start blending that water in. And what you're trying to get is a consistency of water so that you can ball the flour dough or the pie crust. And if you can ball it, then you let it sit for about 15 or 20 minutes so that the moisture goes all through the flour and the fat. So I'm really close here to getting this to the right texture. And once you let it rest, if you want to, you can cool it in the refrigerator for a period of time. You just don't want it to be so cold you can't roll it out with the rolling pin, because then that just means you're working the dough more and more. And the more you work it, the worse it's going to be. And if you work it too long, you might as well just buy a pie crust at the grocery store, because it will have the same texture as the one you bought, as the purchased one. So it's a delicate operation, and you just have to make sure you practice often enough so that you get your pie crust ball to look something like this. You set it aside, and the rest of it is easy peasy. You simply roll it out on a pastry cloth with a little bit of flour on either side, get it to the size you want it to be, drop it into a pie pan, and do the flouting around the top, and you're going to have a delicious pie that has a very flaky crust. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Thanks for putting up with this version of how to make a pie crust. Love you.